We are now in the last question, the question number 20 of the exam scheme. In this question, we need to write the equations of the trigonometric functions. The graphs will be given to us. We need to write the phase shift, the translation, and everything. Let's look into this question here. You can see the graph is already given to you, and they have told you to find the vertical shift, amplitude, phase shift, if any, and then the period and the function. So let's directly start the problem. Where is the graph? It has moved. It's not from the center, right? It has moved. And over here, which graph they mentioned? It's cosine. Okay. So with this information, first let's see the maximum and the minimum point. What is the maximum point here? It's minus 2, isn't it? And what about the minimum point? It is, if this is minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, and minus 4 here. And what else? We know it starts from up over here and it is going. Does cosine function graph start from the above? Yes, they do start from above. So that means there is no phase shift. Phase shift means instead of starting from above, the cosine function, instead of starting from the maximum point, what if it started from here? That means there is a shift, right, by so many degrees, so much distance. So that is phase shift. But over here, there is no problem of that. We will see another problem about the phase shift. Now, period is what? From year to year, when it starts repeating itself. You can see from here, it finishes one complete rotation. Now then it repeats itself. So the period is from year to year, that is pi. From year to year, it's pi. And the function, we need to write it. I have just written down few things. Now before you start solving the problem, it's best to note down these things, and now we will solve one by one. The vertical shift and amplitude. Now vertical shift value is k. First I will write the standard form. This is important. It's always y equals a, it's cosine function, so I'll write cos. It's b. Now since they have mentioned phase shift, I'll also include the phase shift h plus k. This is the standard form. Now this vertical shift is the k value. This is equal to the midline. Midline, if we find, we can easily tell what is the k value. To find the midline or the k value, you need to see from here. Let us go down here. This is the minimum most point, minus 4, and this is the maximum point. So we need to find their average. Now, how do we find the average? We need this point, minus 3. What is that? Is the average between these 2 points, the midline, right? Mid between the maximum and minimum. So just take the average of these 2 points, that is minus 2 plus minus 4 divided by 2. Or you can take minus 4 plus minus 2 divided by 2. Just the average of these. Average means always adding two numbers and dividing by 2. Now imagine you have got a score of 9 and 10 in two exams. What is the average? You add them and divide it by 2. It will be 19 by 2 or 9.5. That's what we are doing here as well. So it will be minus 6 by 2, that is minus 3. Yes, the midline is minus 3. Or you can even directly see it, but since it's in writing, that's why I'm emphasizing using the formulas over here. Next is amplitude. Now amplitude is just this part to this part, only this distance. Now how can we find that? We don't want the average, we don't want the midline. Now we just want to know the average, right? So for amplitude, that's given by A, okay. Let's take the minimum most point, that is minus 4, and subtract minus 2 from it. Minus of minus 2. Whatever the values are, if it was 2 and 1, then maximum most point minus the minimum point. So here, because it's downwards, minus 4, subtract minus 2 from it. This is very important. You can't just take random values. See over here, if it was like this, the amplitude, it was 1 and 2, then what should I do? 2 minus 1 divided by 2 would be the amplitude. Now here, minimum is minus 4 minus this much. Now divided by 2. Why? Because when I subtract minus 2 from minus 4, I'm just getting this much, right? From here to here. That is the full length from maximum to minimum. Amplitude is only from this midline, half of it. So I divide it by 2, make it half. I'll get only this amplitude. Now, what's the answer here? It will be minus 4 plus 2 divided by 2, which will be negative 2 by 2. That's negative 1. Let's just check. Yes, it's negative 1, isn't it? From minus 3 to minus 3 to minus 2 to minus 3. But here you must remember, we always take the magnitude, okay? Which I forgot. Now, whatever the answer you get, just take the positive value. Just put the magnitude lines. That's fine. Just remember, we are not considering the sign or direction. We just want to know this distance. The amplitude is the distance over there. That is one. So now we found the midline, we found the amplitude. What next? Phase shift. No, it's starting from the maximum itself. So there is no phase shift. Phase shift is 0. Okay, h is 0. H is equal to 0. Why? Because cosine function naturally starts from the maximum and then comes over here, then goes down like this. And it is starting the same way, so it's fine. What is the period? Period is where it repeats. I've already written its pi. Now, what is the formula to find the b value then? Period is equal to 2 pi by b. Now we know the b value can be found out by 2 pi by pi. Cancel it off. It is 2. It's basically magnitude. You can write this magnitude, but it's positive only, so it's fine. So b value is also found out. Now write the equation. Now it's just that right here a, this is also a, then this is b. Write it in order in your exam and c. And now we will write the d equation. Y is equal to 1 cosine function. B is 2 times theta minus 0 plus k is minus 3. Right over here, this is the k value. So minus 3. So the final function equation would be cosine. Now theta minus 0 is theta itself. So I'll write 2 theta here minus 3. That is the answer. So the final answer must be like that. So that is, if you graph this, you must get this particular equation. You can see over here, it's not over here. So yes, that is the correct answer. Now each thing just by formula substitution, even in the previous things, the same thing. So it's a very simple topic. Once you understand the concept, the formulas, and understand how the graph works, then it is very, very straightforward. Now please do try this problem by yourselves. I just walk through this. Here the midline is already given. What is the midline? It's 2. So here k value, it's sorry, minus 2, it's downwards, right? Minus 2. But you need to do what? You need to take the average of maximum and the minimum point. Maximum is 1, minimum is minus 5 here. So add them and divide by 2. What about the amplitude? Amplitude over here is this thing, but you should subtract it. Now remember, since we're taking magnitude anyways, it doesn't matter which point you take. But I personally just take, see now we have maximum minus the minimum, or if you take minimum minus the maximum, since we're taking the magnitude, it won't make a difference. Now over here it's 3, but I'll show you if you take minus 5 minus of 1 divided by 2. What would be the answer? It will be minus 6 by 2. That is minus 3, but you must take the magnitude of it. So that is, it's just the distance from the midline to above. You can easily count it from the graph. So next is phase shift. Now here this is sine graph. Sine starts from here 0 and it keeps on. There's no phase shift over here. So there's no phase shift. It's 0. And what about the period? Where it starts here and it keeps on going until 2 pi is the period. Because after 2 pi it starts repeating. So we know it's 2 pi. Then what is the b value? It will be 1, right? Because 2 pi equals 2 pi by b. So cancel this off. It will be 1. It's plus or minus 1 because it's the magnitude, but you can just take 1. And what about the equation? We know a value, that's amplitude is 3. We know the b value is just 1, so you can ignore that. No phase shift, it's only theta over here, 3 sine theta. And midline is minus 2. That's how we write it. Now let's try this one. Here, this is which function? It's sine function, but there is no phase shift over here. It's the same thing. How about we will see a problem with the phase shift? So here, just do the same thing, the same formulas. There is no phase shift. Why? Because it starts from 0 and it keeps on going. So then the period and then the equation. Now this is okay. Over here, I can definitely tell. Doesn't matter it's sine or cosine. It is having a phase shift because it's going downwards. Now let's solve this problem. Here they have told cosine function, right? So let's see, it's not starting from the real point. It should start from its maximum point. It should start like this and then go. It should come like this. But now you can see there is a phase shift. There's a change in that. So we will come to it in a while, but starting things. First, let's write the equation. No matter what, we'll write the equation. Y is equal to A cosine B theta minus H plus K. And then what we do is we will start by one. The easiest ones are midline and amplitude. So midline K is equal to 0. Why? Because it starts from the origin. You can just write it is through the origin, right? The graph. So there is no midline. I mean, it's 0. There is no plus. And then the amplitude A is maximum, it's 2 minus, over here minimum is again minus 2. So it'll be minus of minus 2 divided by 2. Why? Because maximum is 2, this is minus 2 here. That will be plus, and it'll be 4 by 2, 2. Let's see the amplitude. Yes, from 0 to this part is 2 units. That is the answer. And then we found the amplitude. We know the K value. What else can we find? Let's do the phase shift here. Actually, the cosine function should start from the maximum point, isn't it? But where is the maximum point? It's over here. Or it's over here. So which point do we take? Really, you can take any. Why? Because, let me take this one. What is the H value? It will be minus 90. And if I add 360 degrees, what is the answer? It'll be 270, right? Yeah, 270 degrees. Now look at this point, it is 270 degrees. They're coterminals, so it's fine. But what, as a thumb rule, we do is, we just take the nearest one. This is nearer one, right? Minus 90. So I will take the H, that is the phase shift, as minus 90 degrees. Now remember, I personally used to do this mistake. I forget the sign. Whenever I substitute back in the formula, I forget to put this minus 90. Please don't do that mistake. It's very easy to make the mistake. You just write this much. It's wrong. It should be minus of minus 90. It should be plus. We will see it in a while when we do it. Now, next, what is there? H is done. This is the value. The period, right? What is the period? It starts from here, it continues, and it takes 360 degrees to finish one complete rotation. So it will be period is equal to 360 degrees. What is the formula that relates period and the B value? It's 360 by B. Now we will take B to the other side. It will be 360 degrees by P value. That will be 360 degrees by 360 itself. This is 1 here. Okay, so B value is 1. We know everything is known. So I'll just write it out over here. Y is equal to 1 cosine function. What is the B value? It is, sorry, A value is 2. Okay, A value is 2. And that's 1 into theta minus of minus 90. Please don't forget this negative sign. I'm telling this, but many times students do tend to forget this. That's why please take care over here. And K is 0. So now I'll just simplify and write. It'll be 2 cosine function theta minus and minus becomes plus 90 degrees and it's 0. So this is the final answer. Now you have to just write it in detail, but this is the main concept. Now if I was correcting the paper, as long as you have written all this, that means you have understood. If you have drawn this on the figure, I would have given full marks because you understand the concept. That's more than enough. So here the answer is 2 cos theta plus 90. That's the answer. I hope this is clear. Please do try the other problems by yourselves. They are all straightforward problems, same like what we did. Remember, K value, amplitude, the period, then from period we find B value, phase shift, and substitute it. It's the same thing over here. Looking at it, we can even double check answers. If you get wrong answers, see here, we can easily count it. This is how much? 3. So you can count it and check it whether it's correct or wrong. And there we have reached the end of the writing part of the EOT. I hope you have found it helpful. Please do share my videos with your friends and your classmates. If you have benefited from these, please do hit the like button. Practice all the problems by working out yourselves. And if you have any doubts, post them in the comments and I will get back to you very soon. Take care, guys. I wish you all the best and happy learning.